Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. Really great to be with you. It's evening for me, or morning or afternoon, wherever you're watching this from. Today, we have Andrea Castelli, who's talking to us from Mexico, in Monterrey. Really great to have Andrea with us. And you can see on the screen some amazing people coming up in the next 7 weeks. And before we get Andrea up, we always like to share a few words from our community that they have shared. And we start with this one, which comes from Carlos. And he just says, Andrea had a huge influence on me. He was my mentor in the EXO coach certification. But also years ago, he was disrupting a company in which I was a cybersecurity manager. At the time, that was my first contact with the Exponential Organizations book and the awesome people that are running EXO sprints in the company in which I worked. Andrea was in that awesome team, so he had already helped me on my EXO path years ago as a natural mentor. We also have this from Karina. She just said, working with Andrea all these years has been a very rewarding journey. He knows when to push teams, to stretch the thinking, and how to get the most from them and achieve exponentiality and disruption. His business vision is remarkable. We also have this one, which comes from Michelle. Just said, Andrea is one of those talented minds that takes on very complex ideas, transforming them into very simple and clear concepts. At the same time, leaving you with new ideas that expand awareness. And lastly, from Karina, Andrea is a great friend and a professional that I admire a lot. Together, we started the journey of transforming Latin America for the better. I am so grateful for all we have shared, learned, and grown together. It is so great to have him as part of my adjacent family. And there are so many great words for Andrea. He's been in the community for a very long time. Andrea, welcome. So great to have you. How are you doing? It's afternoon for you there.
Yeah, it's afternoon. Hi, Kevin. Doing great. Very humble reading all those beautiful words from very respected colleagues in the EXO community. So we are off to a great start. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. So, Andrea, what we love to do in OpenExO Live is to always start with a bit of background about you. You know, what is your background, and then take us on that journey to how you actually got into Exponential and into the OpenExO community.
My background is I studied economics, and I started working in SAP-related transformation projects. So I got into the transformation chip very early in my career. What I really observe is that very seldom those projects deliver what they were supposed to deliver. Huge investment, huge amount of money, and huge disappointment, even though very talented people were working there. So I was always trying to find the key to successful transformation. And one day I was in a program in Mexico to consult organization to increase competitiveness. And a teacher taught me about Singularity University. So I said, I want to go there. I was able to go there. I met Salim there. It blew my mind, like everyone that has the opportunity to go to Singularity University, but little did I know that I was somehow in a mailing list that Salim sent information to, saying, you know what, I'm writing this book. It's not out yet, but I want to use your help to change the world, to transform the world. And so from there, since the very beginning, I was in the community, and it's been a fantastic and rewarding journey for me.
Absolutely. So you're one of those originals, I guess, and really been so great to see all the things you've done, and we'll get into those as we chat today. But you know, if we are to start out, you know, what is it that is your personal MTP?
to me is transforming businesses globally. There are people that want to impact other person's lives, which is fantastic. For what I really like is increasing the well-being of people working into organization. And of course, first point is taking out the frustration of failed projects, and also give to as many people as I can in different organizations the opportunity to touch the concept of abundance, exponentiality, that first and foremost, aside of the business results that are getting much better, and we have seen it in several different industries, companies, etc. First and foremost, you have more fun working. So for me, that is a fantastic contribution that you can give to people working into organization, because I've been in the corporate ladder my whole life, and I know that things can get quite boring, quite uninspiring. And I think that EXO brings inspiration and fun in corporate environment where those are lacking.
Absolutely. You know, the EXO model really allows people to tap into so much you know, abundance that is an outside world, but so many people don't really know about that. And so, you know, what do you think, you know, what are ways that you have, you know, helped people to sort of see that abundance is actually something that's amazing, and that change is not something to fear?
It always amazed me. You know, I've been in this so much time that somehow I start to think that everyone sees it the same way. And so it always amazed me. In 2021, you know, I was having a talk a couple days ago with entrepreneurs into an incubator that is working in the university where I am professor. So I was expecting people to know perfectly what I was talking about. I was like, oh, I hope I'm not giving them too much old or maybe information that they already know, and they didn't know anything about that. So it amazed me. And it's something that we have to spread, because it's really changing the way, at least for me, changed so much the way that I work. In all the organization that I had the opportunity to work with, implementing the EXO model, the results have been unbelievable. There are some, you know, organizations are always a little bit jealous of their information. So somehow you see the progress from outside, but reading the progress in the newspaper, as is the case for several customers that are really progressed since the EXO sprint, makes me feel very proud and understand that it's the right path. But I will tell you, if the senior leaders didn't go to Singularity University, it's not that easy to make them understand what we are talking about, because looks like you're talking about something that can be achieved just by a limited amount of big organization, and it's quite the opposite. So how I do it, I try to be convincing with my speech. I try to convey my experience and the way I see the future of business. But it's not easy to open the mind of potential customer, business leaders just in one talk, and I'm perfecting that. I think that Karina is one of the professionals that commented before. We read the comment, and I work a lot with her, brainstorming and trying to understand how to convey a small Singularity University-like experience in maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour talk. I believe I'm almost there, but we have to perfect it yet.
Now I know you've worked on a couple of sprints, you know, within a number of different organizations, and like you say, I mean, often it's hard to say what's happened on those, because you know you're working with a company and they don't want to necessarily divulge. But you know, can you share a little bit about, you know, the things that have happened that really worked well within different teams whilst working on those, you know, sprint processes?
I had the pleasure, the luck, and the opportunity to be the first head coach ever. After that, the EXO Sprint process was perfected and the EXO Sprint was launched at the community to execute it. So I'm very grateful for that. And in that case, it was a Mexican multinational organization in the automotive industry. And obviously, automotive is that's automatic to think that it's kind of a traditional organization, which was indeed the case. And for me, it was unbelievable to see the energy that unleashed from opening their minds about exponential, about the tools that we use to perform the change. And I believe that the results were really remarkable. I cannot comment on the initiative, but yes, I can tell you that in 3 days experimenting with a free software, there was a 10% improvement in a product that they sell to their customer. And 10% improvement, I believe the 10% that you can imagine saving. So 10% saving in the cost of delivering that product, that to me is unbelievable. I don't know what they achieve afterwards, but obviously in 3 days, it's very promising. And what I've seen is the way their people that were, you know, some engineers, some like functional guys with different level of experience, the way they were able to change, to break boundaries among ages, gender, years in the organization, hierarchical level, and being able to collaborate to get to that results, and having such an amazing initiatives that, from my standpoint, after an EXO sprint, 10 weeks, you have already the strategic plan for the next 2 years. And in my opinion, every 2 years, you do the process again, and you have more initiatives. So seeing the results, seeing the quality of the initiatives, seeing the quality of the people that really grew in 10 weeks, for me, the first experience made me a firm believer that I had found the key to successful transformation programs.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and thanks to everybody who's sending messages in the chat. Andrea, I mean, you've made quite a bit of an impact on a lot of people. People are really saying it's such a great pleasure to work with you. If you do have any questions for Andrea, you can also stick those in the chat wherever you're watching this. We'll be happy to get to some of those, and I'll dare even say even some difficult questions. So actually, I mean, Ken Merkel's just said, you totally agree. It's difficult for many business leaders to be awakened. That is why we allow them to focus on creating a vision of the future. And, you know, Ken's brought up the whole idea around leadership. How important, and I know, you know, Karina speaks about this as well, but how important is it that you have leadership buy-in for these sprint processes?
The buy-in is fundamental, but alone is not enough. The owner of that organization that is from a famous family in Mexico and obviously educated, Singularity University, etc., understood perfectly the concept, and that's why in a conversation with me, he was saying, you know, I could open a new plant, and I already know which is the return, and what I don't know is how long I'm going to be in business, because we don't know when cars will not be needed anymore. So he was completely bought, and so that aligned the organization. But on the other end, I understood that he was not involved in the day-to-day of the sprint and in the evaluation of the ongoing initiative. In the disruption session, you don't involve such a high-level executive. Maybe you work with the senior leadership team, but not with the CEO, depending on the project. But in that specific case, we realized that for senior leaders, not understanding exponential, not understanding abundance, not understanding the exponential impact of technology that is growing in the last step would make you discard ideas that are really good because you believe the impact is far away in time, while the impact is already there if you can see it. We always speak about 3D printing being there 50 years ago, but I would doubt that any of us connected knew something of 3D printing prior to 10 years ago. So that is the point. You have to educate the leaders to being able to understand that the glasses with which you see exponential businesses are totally different from the glasses that you used to see traditional businesses. Otherwise, you would miss the point. You won't bet on the right bets, and ultimately you will not be as successful as you expect to be. So
yeah,
openness and knowing of the concept is also very important for the decision maker.
Absolutely. Now, Ken on LinkedIn is saying, that you need to get a critical mass of buy-in from the whole organization, not just the leadership. I would think you would potentially agree with that. And what I wanted to ask, taking that a little bit further, is how important is it that across the organization there is that sort of buy-in and understanding, but then from a decision making point of view that people have an understanding because they're the ones making decisions.
I know that some of the customers that we had did it. I believe that if we're talking about having material to execute for the next couple years, then you need one sprint every 2 years. But while you get the exponential word around the organization, I would do as many sprints as needed to have everyone in the organization try it, because I can tell you that I've seen the impact on the participant. I was an MBA myself, and I can tell you that I cannot compare a 2 years MBA program to a 10-week EXO sprint. So for me, that is paramount, because people who touched it immediately get rid of the mentality of the immune system, immediately are completely open to new ideas and to new things that can improve the organization. And the mindset in terms of being positive, being purpose-driven, understanding the long term, that is something that somehow can get in the way of good initiative developing. I think it's fundamental. So I would, if somebody believes that the abundance EXO model is the way, and I do believe that, my recommendation is everybody in the organization has to go through the 10-week sprint.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, look, I would 100% agree in that whilst having many people in an organization having that thinking, potentially the problem is pockets of immune response that then hamstring any sort of innovation. But what is your view of the idea around core and edge, right? The idea that it is very difficult to make dramatic changes within the core. What's your thinking around that?
As we do say also during the certification programs, the immune system and the immune response are there for a reason. There are some functions, business functions in the organization that are there basically to protect the core business. And I'm referring to finance, I'm referring to HR. So for me, it's clear that a core business, even though can be disrupted at some point, even though we want the future, we want something better, the core business, to start with, it's the money generation that allows us to even think about the future of our organization. So you have to respect the core. And the fact that we have a line of transformation that doesn't dramatically change the business model, but is able to incorporate technology into the mothership or the main organization, the organization starting the exponential journey, in a way that makes it more adaptable and makes it grow more than competitors, and makes the business model more durable than what it would happen without going to the exponential path. To me, it's fantastic, because you are basically giving new life to organization that maybe they were a little bit tired, to say it somehow. So for me, it's a basic way of addressing the problem of the actual organization. On the other hand, we know that having more than one business model into an organization is a very daunting task. Amazon is fantastic at that. Google as well. Apple, basically managing different business models, is the business model of Apple. But several other organizations have proved over time that it's very difficult to do it. So we can hope to become another Amazon, but we cannot bet on that. It's difficult if such a few organizations have been able to do that. So the question is, how can I manage multiple business models in my organization? And I think that the response of the EXO model is fantastic. I create edge initiatives. So exponential organization ideas that I will develop outside of my core organization, hoping that one or more of them will become the future of my industry in certain amount of year. Obviously, I have to look at them with an exponential eye, what I was referring before, because if I expect them to be a cash cow in 6 months time, 1 year, I'm off the objective. I'm investing on the future of the organization. So it's a perfect balance of mixing risk and innovation, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And do you also believe that any organization can actually, look at implementing exponential? Many people say, oh, it's only for technology companies, but would you really believe that actually this is a model that can be implemented no matter what you're doing?
I believe, Kevin, I'm a guitar collector. Maybe not many people know that. And so a guitar is in many cases, not all the cases, there are industrialized guitar, but in many cases, it's a fantastic work of art done by an artisan. Yes. I believe that the only category that would not benefit from the EXO model from a business standpoint is an artisan, because at the end, he has to use his craft to build something that people want built by hand, but by that specific person. Any other organization, being big, small, new, old, startup or legacy organization, governmental, no profit, you name it, in any industry would benefit from the EXO model. I always speak about, real estate guys, people building real estate, they think that they are immune to disruption. But I remember when, instead of building towers in the tower company I was working with, we started to buy towers already built from China and bring it to Mexico and mount it. So at some point it became cheaper to bring a tower already done from China and put it there. And we have seen several examples in China. They built a skyscraper, 57 stories in 19 days.
Yeah.
So any industry, any organization will likely be impacted by disruption at some point. So it better be prepared using abundance, EXO model, and exponential concepts.
Absolutely. And Andrea, as we let you go, we could talk here for a very long time. Let everyone know, like, what's your next steps on this exponential journey?
I believe that for several reasons that I perfectly understand. Just the fact that an EXO sprint, as we conceived it at the beginning, needs certain amount of people from the organization that you take out from what they are doing, and they work on the future. So obviously, an organization to run a traditional EXO sprint has to devote 25 people to the sprint. There are organizations that have less than 25 people. So what I'm focused now is trying to make exponential, the EXO model, and the abundance concept accessible for small and medium businesses, because I believe that a lot of the potential and a lot of the positive impact that we are aiming at can be achieved there.
Awesome, Andrea. Really excited to see where that goes. Always awesome chatting to you. You have a fantastic afternoon there. And if anyone wants to connect with Andrea, you can find him pretty much on, within the OpenExO community on LinkedIn. Really great chatting to you, and we'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you very much. You've been a great host. Thank you to all my friends in OpenExO community, and see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrea. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So that was Andrea Castelli, amazing community member. Tomorrow, I want to just announce we are running our EXO Prize Disruption Session. We have had a number of teams running through a shortened down sprint to come up with initiatives to help us within the OpenExO community to really walk the talk. So if you're interested in joining that, please do. I'm going to play out with a video about that, and there will be a link that you can go and see as well to join. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.